So in order to understand the cruiser, one must become the cruiser. Hallo Koos, wat sê jy meneer? Wat sê jy meneer? Ag nee, so stil soos 'n lam se pootjie. Is hy die nuwe cruiser daai? Ja, dis hy. Dis die nuwe cruiser, nuwe engine, nuwe alles. Ja, lyk mooi, maar verkeerde kleur en lyk vir my hy mis 'n paar silinders. Nee meneer, daar maak keer niks met hierdie cruiser nie. Kom ry saam. Ag nee meneer, ek het nog steeds so baie werk om te doen. Nee man, Koos, die heining kan wag. Kom, spring in, dan wys ek vir jou. Kom. Ag ja wat, kom, laat ons ry. The Toyota LandCruiser is more than just a vehicle. It's a status symbol. It's a tool. It's an identity. The LandCruiser is not designed for life in the suburbs, and if you do find one there, you can almost be guaranteed that those guys are visiting. No, the LandCruiser is a no frills, no fuss tool for life out here on the farm. There is little in the way of mod cons. Don't want them, don't need them. Everything in here is basically manually operated, and the most digital thing in here is the clock. This latest generation LandCruiser has got the purists in an uproar, because it's just the first time that Toyota has offered a LandCruiser with a 4-cylinder turbo diesel with an automatic transmission. And that is probably one of the biggest questions I have, is why does this vehicle exist when naturally we know that the people who love and drive these vehicles all want a 4-litre V8. What exactly was Toyota thinking here? Now, fans of Toyota Hilux and Fortuner vehicles will recognize this powertrain as the 2.8 GD-6 and the 6-speed auto. You're still going to get 150 kilowatts and 500 Newton meters, which is surprisingly 1 kilowatt down from the 4-litre V8 and 70 Newton meters up on that same engine. And that's probably one of the best things about this new LandCruiser, is that it drives like a Hilux. It pulls well from low down in the range and handles beautifully. Now, just because this LandCruiser has been fitted with that 2.8 drivetrain doesn't make this vehicle any less capable. In fact, I'd say it makes it slightly more capable and easier to live with. It still has everything that you would need for this vehicle to be as at home on the dirt as it is on the tar. There's locking diffs front and rear, you have manual locking hubs, there's hill descent control, and of course low range and 4 high. Now, as far as the interior goes, well, as we said, there is pretty much nothing in here. The astute among you will also notice, though, that the steering wheel and the column and the shifter for the transmission all seem to have lifted from the previous gen Fortuner. And I do quite like it. It gives it a nice touch and feel to what would otherwise be a rather bland interior. Now, one of the many questions that I had surrounding this vehicle is why it had velour seats. Why not leather or vinyl or cloth? And the answer kind of came to me with the way I'm dressed. In the heat of summer, vinyl and leather would heat up in the sun, and cloth is actually very scratchy and itchy. And because the majority of folk who drive these cars really like short pants, vinyl, hot leather, and scratchy tweed not very nice on the back of the legs. Velour, on the other hand, very comfortable. Now, despite this LandCruiser having no modcons, so to speak, everything manually operated, it is actually rather enjoyable to drive off-road. Coming onto the tar, you do begin to notice a lot of the NVH noise, a lot of wind noise from the mirrors, everything rattles and creaks and groans. Which is why I said earlier that this vehicle really isn't meant for the suburbs or for city life. But I do understand why guys that live out here away from civilization thoroughly enjoy driving and appreciate what this vehicle is. So here's the rub. Let's talk price. This LandCruiser 2.8 GD-6 6-speed auto is going to set you back 1,009,000 Rand. Now you do get a 3-year, 100,000 kilometer warranty. Not that you're going to need it. But you can sort of understand that this is a little bit less than a Hilux, but also more than a Hilux. This new 2.8 LandCruiser is bridging a gap between an older generation that preferred simple and easy with lots of raw power, and is offering it up to a newer generation who prefer a little bit more refinement and can appreciate the fuel savings over the many years that they're going to own the vehicle. Now, I don't think that this vehicle, this 2.8, is ever going to replace the 4-litre V8 with its manual transmission, but rather will appeal to a newer generation who can appreciate the refinement and possibly keep this model going and carry it forward for the generations of LandCruiser enthusiasts for decades to come.
Search Autotrader.